Hello and welcome back to something a little bit different this Friday. We're having a go, as you can see, at the FIFA 19 demo, and we've stopped on the first advertising screen, which was my biggest worry for this whole game. So they're advertising the Champions League rights, which they've obviously taken off Pro Evolution Soccer. The demo with that we played a couple of weeks ago. We're going to do something a bit similar here. I'm hoping that it doesn't mean they haven't gone for any updates and they're just going to do aesthetics on the Champions League. But it is a fear that I think is going to be a reality in a minute. The one bit that did surprise me out of this is they're advertising their all new commentary team of Derek Gray and Lee Dixon, which is an interesting point, and I'll let you decide on that yourselves. But as I said, we are going to do similar to what we did with the PES demo. We're going to have a little game, just a quick match to see what the gameplay's like, whether it's too much different from last year. I did have FIFA 18 and played it regularly, so hopefully I'll be able to get a good gauge of the changes. We've got a few little notes on here now, so let's have a look. There's a few new game modes, including headers and volleys, a favourite from my childhood, and a few other short modes which might be of interest to the younger generation, so I've got no problem with that as long as it doesn't detract from the main gameplay and the upgrades to that. There's some new gameplay features, that's what we want to see. An active touch system and 50-50 battles, which are two really good ones actually, because they were two of the weaknesses last year. The 50-50 challenges were miles off, to be honest, and the active touch system's really good, particularly for ball striking, which is something else I know they've updated too. If we go on to the next one, there we go, dynamic tactics and time finishing, that's what we're talking about. The way the ball struck, it used to be so easy on last year's game either to press the special button if you were a world class player, or just to double tap and put it in the bottom corner with absolutely any team and player in the world. So hopefully that will change that and make it a bit more difficult. Dynamic tactics is something I'm interested in. Obviously, as a regular Football Manager player, as the game channel name gives away, you know that tactics and ways teams set up is something that's of interest to me, so we'll keep a close eye on that as we go into it. And let's get through to the menu. Another sale for Ultimate Team. It's something I normally play at the start of the year and get bored of after a month, to be honest. Once you get all the good players, it sort of dies down. Again, as a Football Manager player, starting in the lower leagues and the National League, it's what you get used to. So I get a bit bored once I've got to see Neymar rolling on the floor for 10 minutes. But nevertheless, let's get into it. I don't think we can play that on the demo anyway. It's asking me if we want to buy it. We've got it already. I noticed there was Kim Hunter on this year, so we're going to have a little go at the Journey later this weekend. But for now, we're just going to play the kick-off, and then we'll bring a Journey one out on Sunday. So let's get into it. We'll see what teams are on here and what we can set up. We'll play as the home team just to get it done quickly. And surprise, surprise, we can only play a Champions League match. I'm a bit surprised they haven't got the Europa League in there as well, to be honest, considering those two competitions were the big package they got this year, and one of the things they were selling as excitement. To only have one of them in the demo seems a bit strange, but I guess maybe that's where their demo teams are from and it would have too many in the game otherwise. But let's see what it looks like. We get to play a group stage game only. We'll go through the teams in a minute, but I've just seen this advantage settings in the middle. I don't know what this is. So does that just mean you can give them a 1 or 2 goal head start, or the same to yourself? That seems very strange. Not something we're going to be worried about as fair games. I guess if you want to win every game, then that's great. You can put yourself 2 or 3-0 up to start with. So if you're one who just wants to win the game and don't care about the gameplay, then this is definitely the game for you. But let's go through, and we've got Bayern at the start. We want to see what English teams are on there. Man City are on there, United as well. Real Madrid are always on it, and we've got Spurs. Now, we're going to play as Spurs just because on last year's game, on the online mode, the seasons, I was playing as Spurs the whole way through. So it seems fitting to do the same this time. We're going to play against Manchester City, as they normally cause me problems, just to make it a bit of a laugh. And look at that, because of that stupid bit of blue on the bottom of Tottenham's shirt, both the home and the away kit for Man City clash, because they've got a light blue home shirt and then a dark blue away shirt. Something that my co-hosts on the Honest Football podcast will be big fans of, no doubt. So, oh, and look, Tottenham's away shirt's blue. Looks like we're not playing Manchester City, as we can't physically do it without matching kits. So we're going to play United instead. So there's another team with a stupid bottom of the shirt lines. So we got the 2 home shirts and they don't clash, so we can get into it. Now, they did mention the tactics, so we'll go and have a look and see if it's any different. But first, let's just get the game settings on. We're going to upgrade it to world class, which is what we normally play on. Can't quite manage legendary. I know most people on here do, but I can't handle that. I just want to see what detailed stats is, because I haven't looked before. Just seems to be a few more menus telling you about your performances, so that's alright. Let's get into the team management then, see how we're going to line up for today. We've got a few notes on it, so you have to bear with me while I read these, because I haven't played this game yet and we're going to have to learn this together. So game plans are the presets for the squad. It sets the formations, tactics. It looks like it's exactly the same as last year's, but under the formation they've just put your offensive and defensive style. So you've got a few options to choose from defensive and attacking, rather than doing it in match along the gameplay. But that's fine, we'll go on to the second part, and then in the match it's telling you can do the same thing anyway. So I don't really understand the point of that, but you are going to have to bear with me, and it's a chance for us to assess the tactics screen, because I'm going to change to my favourite formation on here, which is the 4-1-2-1-2. The narrow diamond, as it's otherwise known. I can see Davis has had a drop down 1 point from last year, which seems a little bit harsh. We'll get Alderweireld in the middle. We're just going to base them on rating largely. Wanyama's no better, so we'll keep him in there. I normally have Son and Kane up front. And the good thing, obviously, with Tottenham not signing any players, is I can play exactly the same team. We'll get Sissoko on the bench because he's an athlete, so he's always good to bring on towards the end. Similar to Rose and Lucas in particular up front. I think he had pace of 94 last year. He's gone down a bit now, but he's still got the acceleration and agility. Other than that, we'll keep the team as it is so we're not here for too long. That screen looked almost exactly the same. We've got the match preview along the top. I can see shooting and possession alongside it, but I can't access it at the minute. So for that reason, we'll just get straight into the match and see what it's like. But we're into the game now. We're going to get this commentary taster from Derek Ray and Lee Dixon, I think. Don't know, I was going to call him Lee Wilson for a minute there, but don't know what the reason for that is. And I guess we've got to see from last year how this compares to how Pro Evo used to do it. And we've played the Pro Evo demo, obviously, and for those of you who haven't seen it, there were a couple of incidents in there that put me off a game I was otherwise going to buy. I'll put the eye in the top of the video so you can go and have a look at it, because it is just utterly ridiculous. The one benefit of this game, obviously, is you have got all the licences. They've got the pre-match razzmatazz on here as well now for the Champions League and Europa League. I guess that will affect career mode somewhat on this game. Probably for the online players, not so much. But as we said, after the calamity we had with Pro Evo, we need this game to be good because I need to have one to own. I have planned a segment on the channel from when this comes out for FIFA Fridays every week. So I've got to hope that it's good, otherwise I'm going to have to rethink a whole day of the channel. We're going to immediately turn that trainer off if we've got the option once we start. I don't think we have. The button from last year didn't work. Let's just keep possession a bit early on. The first thing I'll say is it looks a lot slower already. I do prefer that because it's one of the things I preferred on the Pro Evolution gameplay. The fact that it is slower, it's a bit more realistic. In the Champions League you see a lot of passing along the back, and to be able to spread it around nicely will help. The one thing I want to check on this game, like the others, is usually you can just pick the quickest player like Lucas, who I bring on for the last half an hour, and you can just run with him and he can go past anyone. We've got Davis on the left wing here. Let's see if we can cut it back. Dembele's quick. Son tries to do the turn, but Phil Jones remarkably does some defending this time, and he doesn't get injured either. Here's Davis. We're going to cut it back again. Dyer on the edge. Ericsson, we'll have a pop with him, see what it's like. And that shooting's a bit different. We had a gauge come up there, and it was asking about the second tap, which was mentioned just before, and we win a corner via the deflection. Oh, it's gone out for a goal kick. That's a bit of a surprise. I don't know, it must have deflected off our own player, maybe Kane. But I was expecting to be taking a corner there, so that's a bit strange. They've got Ashley Young at left back, as is so famous at United at the moment, until Luke Shaw was back, but obviously he picked up a knock in the England game last week. Here we've run it back though with Ericsson and Dyer. It's been quite easy to keep possession so far, as I lose it on the edge of my own box, but luckily they've put the shot a long way wide as well. It seems to be the only really big change this year is the shooting so far. The passing is fairly similar, it's just a little bit slower. They seem to slow it down a tiny bit every year, just to try and match up with Pez and make it similar to real life, I guess, because the game is, although it's getting quicker on the counter-attack, it's a lot slower in possession generally. We've got Davis out wide. Let's see if we can get a cross in. It's blocked. It was a poor cross, to be honest. Ali cuts it to Ericsson. We'll have another pop from the edge, and again it's deflected. He's gone with his left foot there, which I find really strange. I don't know why he's gone for a left-footed shot there. It was lined up perfectly for the right foot, and look at that physics, the way his legs goes back. That looks really weird. I'm not sure that's completely polished, to be honest. The way he's pulled his leg back there isn't straightforward, but we have got the corner and we won't judge it too early on as we try and get the ball into the box. I'm trying to go for the short corner, but I've just realised they've changed the button for that, which seems a little bit strange. I don't know the necessity for that, but we've just put it in simply to Kane's head. I don't go for all the polished corner tactics. We can keep it nice and simple, old school National League, Sunday League football. We've got the ball in the middle with Dyer. We're going to try and put Dembele in here, take on the man. Can we cut it back across the box? It deflects. A lot more deflections on this game as Ali gets a looping header and it goes over the bar. A really strange physics to that, and Mourinho looks a bit strange from the neck down there, bless him. Lingard with a shot from earlier on. I like the fact that they've gone back and done those highlights. It is TV style, but again it is just the aesthetics they've worked on, as we've somehow got a corner. I thought Ali just clean headed it over, and again I've gone for the wrong button for the short corner. That's going to really annoy me for the first few weeks till I get used to it. But the corner straight onto De Gea's head, and I don't know why he's asking me to tackle, because it doesn't want me to tackle the keeper, and nor will it let me. But they've got the ball down, the touch is awful, and on world class you've got to worry a bit about their touches. But enough said about that, because we had that problem with Pez as well, and it hasn't been anywhere near that bad yet. We've got the ball at the back, we'll keep it again. I have seen a lot more speed in closing down from the United players. It's a lot harder to get crosses on. Usually you could take 2 or 3 touches and cut back on last year's game. Used to be something I did a lot with Harry Kane obviously in the box. We'll go for a volley here and see what happens. Quite nicely struck, but it deflects again. They're really quick to close the ball down. It is good to see an improvement off the ball on this game. It was always the biggest weakness in my opinion that it had to Pez, is the fact that you couldn't just close down quickly. You had to try and switch player urgently if you were defending, and it was so hard to get it right. Kane's gone for the header, but I've got a warning there to say it was too early, and as a result it goes miles over. We've got the highlight from it here. The ball's into Kane, he's tried to head it backwards, but it was nice to get a little gauge to say too early and too late. It's something that we'll need to get used to, and I've just noticed the biggest change that is going to affect me this year is the radar at the bottom. They've changed the shape of the dots for the two teams. So instead of having to work it out just on a slight colour deviation, you've managed to get one in triangles and one in circles. That is a brilliant move, and well done to them for it. It's a good cross by Davis first time, but too early again. You can see I obviously tried to get up for the headers too early, and unfortunately it's harming us at the minute. And that's what I mean about last year's game. I'm striking it at the moment how I was on FIFA 18, and on that you could double tap with headers or with balls on the floor, and you'd be able to slot it in the corner or get a great connection. So the fact they've made it a bit more difficult should result in more tactical games and more games that are reflective of real life rather than 5-4s and 6-minute gameplays. I'd say the one impressive thing on this is how long the demo gameplay is, because we've been playing 4 or 5 minutes already and we're still not at half time as we put Son in down the left. Chris Smalling can't keep up with him, or shouldn't be able to. We put a cross into the back post, but it's too close to De Gea. Comes back out to Ali, but we've lost out in the air. Dyer finds Ericsson, he's got it out to Trippier. We know he can get a good cross in. Here is Trippier on the right. Deflects again off Ashley Young, and it's back again. But can we get the ball short? Dyer's got there first, was nearly fouled. We haven't had one foul yet in this match, I don't think. Dembele's going to get it out to Davis, cuts it to Ericsson. Ali on the edge again. Now we've got a chance to get a proper cross in. It's gone backwards, it's so strange. It's going to take a lot of getting used to, I must say. For those of you who were playing it last year, you think it's going to be similar again. The crossing and the shooting in particular is so different. The passing's no different at all, from the short passes to the through balls. But the crossing and the finishing is really different in terms of the dynamics of getting the ball to cut back and go forward and cross just straight as you would normally. And for the shooting, everything I've done as I would on FIFA 18 has been classed as too early so far. We'll try and make it a bit later, but it's a very hard habit to get out to from a couple of 100 games. Son's lost out, but we've got the ball, it's fallen to us again. We're getting a lot of luck with the second balls, and it is half time and it's 0-0. And to be honest, I'm a little bit underwhelmed so far, but I think it's just because it has actually changed a bit this year and I haven't got used to it yet. And normally we're keen to moan about there not being many changes to FIFA, and as I said, I feared that would be the case with the Champions League rights. But I have to say that it has been a little bit different, and it has been hard to get used to, which is something that's quite nice to have actually. I'm sure for those, as we mentioned earlier, who really want to win and don't mind about the gameplay, they don't want it to be fair, they just want to be able to win every game and be happy about it, which I happily concede. I was a member of that grumpy club when I was about 6 or 7. To be able to put yourself 3-0 up will be lovely, but for us we want to see it. Ashley Young's just caught up with Trippier straight away. I didn't think it was that quick. We're going to try and get the through ball there, but it's a horrendous pass, and that was all me, that, because that hasn't changed from last year and it was just as bad. We've got the ball, we're building up nicely, and keeping possession on the floor is a lot easier. It seems that the opposing team's not closing down as much, they're just trying to keep a shape. We get it into Kane, it's too early again, and he's wasting headers. I tried to deliberately leave it a bit later that time, but it didn't work. United have made their first sub and we'll do the same in a few minutes. But United have got the goal kick, and we've got to see if we can deal with the sub Martial, who Mourinho would of course never bring on like that in real life because he doesn't want it. The headers seem to be, because of the too early, even with the opposition, they seem to just be going straight down and bouncing up off the turf, which is a little bit strange to watch, even in the middle of the pitch. I get it for the finishing, but in the middle of the pitch it seems very strange. We're going to try and get a challenge in, but we've won the header on the edge of the box. Dembele can get there and bring it away. It's just whether he can get away for the men. The touches are a lot looser, I've got to say. It's a lot easier to make a mistake, which is one thing I used to criticise this game for, is it was too easy to do it perfectly, to keep possession, to keep the ball comfortably, to keep your touches perfect, even with average players. So for me it is quite nice to be able to see that you can give it away, you can balloon a corner, you can get a pass 30 yards off target. Here we've got Dembele through, we're going to keep going down the left. Davis has got plenty of space to get a good cross in this time. He does, but it's a bit too close to the keeper, and Ericsson brings it down again. Davis, can we get it in the middle? There we go, we can spray it wide with Son now. Trippier one touch and cross, and we'll try and leave it later again, but the cross is blocked again. That's such an improvement from last year. It's getting a bit too easy, because Trippier had put in a lovely weighted ball towards the back post there, and the man's still able to block it from 5-6 yards. That's a little bit strange. I guess you could argue in real life in the Premier League, at least half the crosses you see deflect out for a corner or throw-in. But it is just a bit weird to see compared to FIFA games of recent years where it's so easy to cross the ball. And Pez, to be honest, which is similar to that. We'll go for the volley. Son's it his own man on the line, and remarkably it's offside as a result. We've still got the quicks up there, but we're going to go into the tactics screen just to see if there's any changes. As I said, I played as Tottenham on the whole of FIFA 18, so I'm going to make the usual 3 changes for the usual 3 men who run out of stamina quicker. They haven't changed the stamina ratings by the looks of it, because the same 3 are struggling. So we've got Rose coming on at left back, Sissoko in the holding role just because he's an engine, and we put Lucas on up front with Kane dropping into the 10. Dembele has awful stamina on this game. He does often come off or on in real life, to be honest. And we put Lucas on and change his tactic to get in behind, because his pace towards the end of the game is absolutely frightening for defenders. And we can see our old friend Fellaini's coming on, so we can kiss goodbye to winning headers by the looks of it. The triple substitution, I'm sure we'll get a comment when we listen back to the commentary after. I don't really listen to it live. I always have it on very quiet for recording, so I don't get the benefit, and I can't really comment on Lee Dixon yet, but I'm sure I will in the comments if any of you join in. We're keeping the ball with Son and Lucas there into Trippier. We'll go for a first time cross this time as they kept getting blocked, but I've aimed it backwards and it's gone out for a goal kick going forwards. That seems a bit strange. Crossing on the move's always been a problem for me in FIFA. I know some people can do it, but to me it seems a bit more difficult than it should be compared to how easy it is to cross after a touch. But nevertheless, we'll see if we can close down. The one thing I would say is keeping our shape's been really good, and United's shape has been much better. It's something we always can criticise the AI for in here, and I did it for most of the PES demo, is the off-the-ball movement is so much better on that game, but this one, it really has improved, and it's almost to the stage where it's too good now, and you can't get through it. Even for the AI, they've had the same problem in their attacks. We're going to try and put Son in down the flank there. We'll give him one touch, and then we'll try and whip it in. We've gone for the back post, but again it's blocked. Chris Smalling made up 2 or 3 yards there as I hit myself on the knee before the corner. I nearly screamed in pain, but it's okay. We've gone short. Eriksen's going to put the cross in though, and the keeper's come out miles to get there as we get the too early warning again. Look at that touch from Alderweireld, and 10 minutes later there's a free kick because Kane's fallen into the keeper. I certainly wasn't in control of that because I had the ball 30 yards away from the goal. So I'm not sure how that's happened. If the AI is giving away free kicks for me, we are in trouble. But the ball's gone out towards Trippier, who's won it back. Kane's going to surge forward here. He gives it to Lucas. We're just going to try and beat him for pace like we did last year. And he does, to be fair, but the cross deflects straight over De Gea. But luckily Smalling's on the line. We're going to get Rose in. Can we get across first time this time? We can. Lucas is too early again though. I'm leaving this what I would consider really late, and it's saying it's too early with the header. We haven't really had any shots on the floor inside the box. We haven't been able to work the space because it's been so good, the closing down and the shape off the ball. Trippier's lost out there, and they're going to get a cross in late on. We certainly can't make up the 10 yards to cut out the cross. The ball's into the box, and look at that effort. The acrobatics out of nowhere. There's been no attacking quality all game, and suddenly they turn up with that one, and they win a corner late on, and they've got a big side with Fellaini now in the box, and it's straight towards him. I'm guessing that means tactically they're a bit more clever if that corner's going straight to Fellaini. That's what he will have been brought on for, so I'm quite impressed with that. I know a little subtle thing most people wouldn't notice, but I do like that sort of thing. Marking from corners is always a bugbear of mine, particularly with the teams going for their man marking and losing their men. But there they've got possession on the left. We're just keeping our shape and it's worked well. We picked up a knock there as well. Pogba's managed to get a powerful header in from the edge of the box, but it's never troubling the keeper. We've got 1 minute of stoppage time left. It's becoming very hard to attack against good teams in this game, which I guess you say would reflect real life if they're trying to create a realistic simulation. But it doesn't feel anywhere near as much of an arcade game as last year. Obviously we'll play a couple, including the Journey one where we're just one man, to see if that runs across the board. But for now we have finished this one. It's 0-0. It is quite a good game, to be honest. I'm still going to get it. I'm quite impressed with the gameplay changes, even though they're quite hard to adapt. They're called World Class AI instead of United, which is a bit weird. But a 0-0 draw. They've shown off the Champions League. The graphics and the pre-match razzmatazz are lovely. I'd argue probably not quite as good as PES used to do it, but they've got all of the rolling hoardings with MasterCard and Gazprom and all that you see on the TV adverts. And we're just going to advance and see if there's anything different at the end. Again, they're flogging it again. They flogged it before and I've just played a game in it, so I don't know how they need to flog it again afterwards. It seems like they're going a bit too far with that there. It would have been a good chance to sell the Europa League as well instead of just mentioning it a tiny bit there. I'll have a little listen after, and I'll find out about the commentary team. Let me know your thoughts on the comments in it, and I will obviously join in the conversation once I've heard it. They've got the UEFA Super Cup as well, what they've mentioned, and obviously this bit we've all seen before, so we'll just see if it gives us anything new before it takes us back. I've got to say, I didn't really notice anything on the 50-50 battles, because I was playing against a Mourinho team. They were just sitting off the ball, so we didn't really get any duels in that sense. We were just keeping possession and they were sitting in 2 banks of 4. But that will be all for this episode. If you have enjoyed it, please put a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel for regular Football Manager content, as my channel name gives away. From Monday to Thursday at 4:30 PM we have our main story, the head coach on Football Manager 2018. And we'll have a video from FIFA 19 every Friday starting from today, as well as other odd reviews and first looks from other sports video games. A massive thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you next time.